Two kids can grow up on the same street, attend the same school, and end up living two completely different financial lives. Same lessons in the classroom, very different lessons at home. And I am here to tell you the gap between them was never really about money. It was a set of quiet habits one of them absorbed without anyone ever sitting them down to explain a single thing. By the end of this video, you will know all 10 of them, habits the wealthy hand to their kids almost by accident, just by being in the room. The kind of habits that quietly decide who builds something real and who spends their whole life almost building something. No theatrics, no fairy tales, just the part nobody says out loud. Quick thing before we go any deeper. I am not a financial advisor. I am an animated character in a sparkly dress who happens to know her way around a balance sheet. Think of me as the friend who actually did the reading before the test. Smart enough to point you in the right direction. Definitely not licensed to manage your retirement account. So take the notes, then take them to a grown-up with a real certificate on the wall. Habit number 1, they learn that money is a tool, not a reward. Most people are raised to treat money like a prize for surviving the week. You worked hard, you are exhausted, so you have earned the right to spend. Money becomes emotional payment for a hard life. Wealthy kids absorb something different, and nobody ever explains it to them. They watch their parents handle money like equipment in a workshop, not a trophy on a shelf. The question is never just, can we buy this? The question is whether buying it makes life easier or harder down the road. They see money used to buy back time, to lower stress, to solve a problem before it grows. That quiet reframing changes everything. Money itself is not the achievement. What you do with it is. So they grow up without the emotional spending reflex because emotional spending is one of the most expensive habits there is. Hey, eyes up here for a second. Still with me? Good, because we are about to get to the part that actually rearranges your brain. Stretch, sip your water, and let us keep moving. Habit number 2. They learn that looking rich is a losing game. Wealthy kids grow up watching something that confuses most people. Their parents can afford nearly anything and still choose almost none of it. No flashy car for no reason. No impulse luxury to feel something. And nobody sits them down to explain why. It is simply normal in the house. Meanwhile, most of us are raised to read wealth off the surface. New car means success. Designer label means winning. Expensive life means proof you made it. But these kids learn early that looking rich is usually the fastest road to staying broke. They watch adults with real money drive paid-off cars and wear forgettable clothes, not because they are cheap, but because spending to impress strangers is a leak in the system. They are not trying to win the approval of people who will never pay their bills. So they grow up without the pressure to prove anything because they already understand that status is just expensive math that never adds up. Habit number 3, they learn how money moves, not just how to earn it. Here is the part school quietly skips. Most of us are trained to focus on one thing only: earn. Get the job, get the raise, work more hours. But wealthy kids grow up watching money actually move. They overhear conversations about investments, about businesses, about ownership and taxes and assets long before they understand any of it. And that exposure wires the brain in a specific way. Money is not something that sits still. Money flows, and whoever directs the flow tends to win. So these kids stop thinking in paychecks and start thinking in systems. The question shifts from how much does this pay to how does this grow on its own? That is why they drift toward ownership later in life, not because they are smarter, but because the whole thing already feels familiar. They have been watching the film since they were small. Before we keep going, understand that what wealthy families teach their kids is only a preview of what is actually available to you. This channel exists to hand you the tools to build a free life on your own terms. So do yourself a favor, watch the recent videos and subscribe so the next lesson finds you. Habit number 4, they learn that risk is normal, not terrifying. This is the real line between fear and confidence with money. Most people are raised to dodge risk at any cost. Play it safe, do not mess up. Find something secure and hold on. Wealthy kids grow up watching risk get managed instead of feared. They see a business stumble and recover. They see an investment dip and come back. They watch setbacks treated like information, not like the end of the world. Nobody melts down. Nobody loses their sense of self over it. Life simply keeps moving. So these kids never wire risk to danger. They wire it to learning. When something goes wrong, they adjust instead of freezing. And later, when an opportunity shows up wrapped in uncertainty, they step toward it while everyone else stalls. Fear has a price. Comfort has a price too. Most people only ever pay one of them. Habit number 5, they learn that jobs are options, not identities. This one stings, so let us just be honest about it. Most people grow up believing their job is who they are. The answer to what do you do becomes the entire self. Wealthy kids grow up around adults who hold multiple income streams, own things, and switch roles without flinching. A job is not sacred in that world. It is a tool, a temporary agreement that works until it does not. So these kids do not panic when an industry shifts under their feet. They do not cling to a title like a life raft. They learn early that skills travel with you and positions do not. And once that lands, you stop being loyal to systems that were never loyal to you. Habit number 6, they learn to delay gratification without feeling deprived. Here is the difference between discipline and punishment. Most people think waiting for something feels like losing. Wealthy kids do not, because they watch their parents skip the small reward for the bigger freedom and still enjoy their actual lives. No drama, no suffering for show, just decisions made on purpose. So saving never feels like a cage. Investing never feels boring. Waiting never feels like missing out because they have seen what patience actually buys. Time is the real luxury, and that single lesson compounds harder than any account ever could. Habit number 7, they learn to think, not just to obey. This one is subtle, and it shapes everything. Wealthy households tend to reward questions. Many other households quietly reward compliance. These kids are allowed to ask why. They are allowed to ask how something actually works and what happens if. They are not punished for being curious. They are encouraged for it. So they grow up trusting their own judgment. They do not swallow advice whole. They examine it. They do not accept a rule just because it exists. They ask who the rule is really serving. That is how independent thinkers are built, and independent thinkers rarely stay stuck for long. Habit number 8, they never learn to resent money. Stop and sit with that for a second. Wealthy kids are simply never taught to hate wealth. No quiet lessons that money corrupts people. No belief that wanting more makes you a bad person. No guilt attached to ambition. They grow up seeing money as neutral, powerful, but neutral. So when success arrives, they do not sabotage it out of shame. They do not apologize for wanting comfort or stability. They understand that money tends to amplify whoever you already are, for better or worse, and that one belief unlocks growth that most people accidentally wall themselves off from. Habit number 9, they learn ownership early, even in tiny ways. Wealthy kids are handed responsibility young, not pressure, ownership. They manage a small allowance. They make real choices and live with real outcomes. So by the time they are adults, accountability already feels normal. They do not wait around to be rescued. They do not hand the blame to the system and stop there. They take the wheel, and taking the wheel is the actual foundation of building anything. Habit number 10, they grow up around possibility, not limitation. Brace yourself, because this is the quiet cheat code under all the others. Not money, not connections, not luck, possibility. Wealthy kids rarely grow up hearing that something is unrealistic. They do not hear that people like us do not do that. They do not hear, be grateful and stop asking for more. Instead, they hear, let us figure it out. That could actually work. What is another way to get there? And that language reshapes the brain. When you grow up surrounded by possibility, your mind stops hunting for reasons something will fail and starts hunting for the path. Most people grow up surrounded by the opposite. That is too risky. That only works for other people. Just be realistic. And here is the damage that quietly does. It teaches you to shrink your own ambition before life ever gets the chance to. So, by adulthood, you do not even need an outside wall. You have already become your own ceiling. Wealthy kids do not feel special. They simply never learned to fold their dreams down to fit someone else's comfort. They assume things are possible until proven otherwise, while most people assume things are impossible until someone else proves it for them. Environment shapes belief. Belief shapes behavior. Behavior shapes the life you end up with. That is not a motivational poster. That is just how the mind works. And the day you swap limitation language for possibility language in your own head, you will not get rich by Friday, but you will stop living like the door was bolted shut when it was actually never locked. So that is the shift. 10 quiet habits learned without a single lecture. If something in this video made you go, oh, so that is the piece I was missing, drop the words, I will be wealthy in the comments and watch the next one, because that is where it really starts to click. I am breaking down 10 signs that someone is faking the whole rich thing, and once you can spot them, you will never unsee a single one. And before you go, do future you a favor. Wander down to the links below and check out the ebooks, because reading one of them is cheaper than every bad money decision I am trying to talk you out of. Poke around the financial calculators too. They do the scary math, so your brain does not have to, and they will not judge you for any of the numbers. Everything is waiting right under this video. I will see you in the next one.